it's my 44th birthday and we're celebrating by visiting our 44th national park. So stay tuned, I'll show you where we're going and what we're doing. Here at Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas, first the hiking, then the history. So this is about recharging the hot spring. So the thermal waters of Hot Springs National Park began as rain, snow, and ice. It seeped into the earth through cracks in the rock in an area known as the recharge zone. It lies at the top of the mountains in the park where I'm standing right now. The higher elevation of this area relative to where the water comes out of the hot springs is what drives the plumbing of the thermal water system. Water continuing to seep in the ground is the other part, which is why protecting this area is critical to the continued flow of hot springs. As we were walking along here, we saw what we thought was maybe a coyote. I guess it could have been a stray dog, but this definitely seems wild enough that that could be a possibility. So I may ask the ranger later when I see them if that's something that is out here. It's really quiet here, it's beautiful, definitely has that national park feel to it. And I wasn't quite sure about this one. Some of the parks we've been to, we say we have like a few that are in the bottom of our national park list. And my husband was kind of teasing me and said, like, is this one gonna be one of those ones? And it's not. So far it's really great, really interesting. Lot of good little places in town to eat and get things if you need them. And then also all this hiking's here, 18 miles of trails. And then of course, shout out to this guy for always making all my birthday dreams come true. Thought he was gonna fall off the side of the mountain there. So there are little flowers blooming all around the trail. You can tell it's spring here. If you've been following the channel for a while, you'll know that last year for my 43rd birthday, we went and we hiked Old Rag in Shenandoah, and that was a much harder endeavor than the hiking we're doing today. This trip kind of seems relaxing compared to that one, but that was really cool. So we've kind of gotten into this habit where we're going places for my birthday and kind of like making a trip out of it, which has been really fun. When the kids were little, we used to just rent like a state park camping cottage in Pennsylvania or a cabin, and we'd do that. But then starting with my 40th, we went to like Mammoth Cave. And it's been a pretty fun tradition. We take turns when we hike together on who wears the backpack. So my husband has on our Osprey Daylight Plus, but I absolutely love this bag because my husband's 6 feet tall. I'm 5'3". We can pass the bag back and forth and share it and adjust it, and it fits both of us comfortably. And yet it has just the right amount to bring what we need with us on a day hike. So lots of neat looking rocky, and it's kind of all in the veins of the trail here. And then of course you can see the rocks poking out kind of as you walk along this way. So they have some stairs here that you can climb up to an overlook up here. Ooh, look at that. All right, so this is Goat Rock Overlook, really cool spot. We can see some like almost steam kind of vents coming off in the distance in several spots. We don't know if that's just like I don't know, like the dew or like mist in the morning, or if it's actually the steam vents of the hot springs that you see in the distance. But either way, a beautiful spot. So this is about Goat Rock Overlook, and it's a novaculite outcrop offering views of the mountains. And it's a special rock in the history, culture, and geology of, it looks like, the Native Americans. And it's hard and abrasive. It was used by Native Americans for making sharpened tools. And the kind found in Arkansas is a crucial component to the park's water system. Cracks in the rock allow it to carry water deep into the ground where it heats up. And the steps and the bench were constructed in 1924. So pretty neat. I'm wearing the Trailheads Women's Race Day hat. And this is like the really lightweight, breathable baseball cap. So I have one in black that I love. And for my birthday, I decided to pick up another one in a second color, just because this is my absolute favorite cap. I'll wear this all summer. So all throughout the park, even on the hiking trails, there's these historic signs. And this is showing that doctors would prescribe prescriptions to get in hot water. So before 1850, patients who sought relief at the hot springs did so without a prescription. There was no physician in hot springs, so invalids treated themselves bathing twice per day. And then this Dr. William Henry Hammond came in 1850, and then 2 new doctors arrived, and they passed medical licensing legislation in 1881, but not till 1903 that doctors could be certified by the Board of Physicians. and patients would dose themselves with various medicines, and there was a general store and it sold an assortment of medicines, and there was Dr. Kilmer's swamp root remedy, which was a diuretic and a laxative, and they said that swamp root was a quackery for its dishonest claims to treat diseases of the kidney and the liver. So this trail is definitely very easy. There's switchbacks, but they're gentle grades, all kind of crushed gravel. We didn't even bring our hiking boots on this trip since it's such a short trip for us, and we were just trying to save space, which is bringing a carry-on, but you can definitely do this in sneakers. So they have a lot of these original trail shelters here, and this one was built in 1964. So the only negative about this trail is it's turned into a little bit of a road walk at the end. It's not my favorite way to end a trail, but it's so quiet up here, there's no cars on the road. All right, so that wraps up the goat trail that we just did. So we're back at the parking area. All the spots are full, even the handicap spot. So I think we got here at the right time. Now we made our way over to the Gulf of Gorge Trail, and we're in the National Park campground. So this gives you an idea of what the sites look like. Some of them are so nice and face the creek. We're gonna hike the Gulf of Gorge Trail. Pretty tight parking conditions. We couldn't get a spot, so we ended up parking by further in the campground. They had some additional parking, so we did that. Okay, so now we're gonna start the Gulf of Gorge Trail. It's very pretty so far. Starts by the creek, and you can just hear the wonderful bird song in the forest here. Realize that this is actually going to intersect with the goat trail that we did. So we're gonna go up to that point, and then we're gonna turn back around because there's no sense in doubling through something we've already done. So this has some information about the swimming hole, but in 1940 it was contaminated and had to be closed. They removed the pool, and the dam was demolished, and they changed the landscape of the area, but that sure looks fun. So like I was saying, the Gulf of Gorge is going to connect to the Goat Rock, which we already did. So we're just going to go this point too till it connects. Then we'll turn back around. Very beautiful. It's a way for people in the campground to connect with other parts of the park. And it was really nice to come down here and see the creek, and it's just an absolutely beautiful forest. You've got great views in the mountains on the whole trail. And although there's no like iconic endpoint or overlook or things like that, I think this is definitely worth hiking. And then up at the top where it connects with the goat trail, there's like a picnic shelter you could stop at. So my husband and I, in addition to liking to visit national parks, we like to visit new states. So he's seen a few more than me because he went on a cross-country trip with his aunt and uncle years ago. But Arkansas is my 39th state. And then we also have never been to Louisiana. So when we're done at Hot Springs, we're actually going to visit Shreveport, Louisiana, to check another state off our list. And that'll bring me up to 40. And I think he might be at like 43 because of this road trip he went on. So that is our next stop when we're done exploring Hot Springs. So I want to show you what the cute little town in the national park looks like. What really surprised me about Hot Springs is they're getting 2.46 million visitors. That was their number in 2024. So this is one of the top 15 most visited national parks. Another interesting thing about the town is there's a lot of baseball history here because this was the birthplace of spring baseball, and you can see the list of all the players that played here. So in the park, you can fill your own bottles and containers with the hot spring water. So I'm gonna give it a try. I mean, it really tastes like water, has no like mineral taste or anything like that, but it's unusual in that it's coming out warm. And I think they have some cool springs as well where you can fill up your bottles. This is my national park water bottle. I brought it all the way, and I'm gonna put on my hot spring sticker today. So this is considered Bathhouse Row, and these are the historic bathhouses. So the Lamar one operates as the national park store. A few of the others still operate as bathhouses where you can go in and get traditional like massages and baths and things like that. And then one is a visitor's museum, so we're going to go through that. So you might think that Hot Springs National Park is the smallest national park in the system. It has 5,500 acres, but it's actually not. The smallest park is Gateway Arch National Park, and that one's only 91 acres. So this is the Fordyce Bathhouse, and this operates as a national park museum. It's free admission, and there's 3 floors that you can explore here. It's all self-guided, although they do offer ranger programs, but I actually enjoyed this much more than I thought I would. So what's really neat about the hot water here is that it's not caused by like volcanic activity. So some thermal water will have like a sulfur taste. This does not here. So it's pretty interesting about how some of the springs come out like really forceful, but yet they're all interconnected, and it would fill 752 bathtubs per hour. And it's pretty neat. This happens in this spot because of these rocks and minerals. So there's this noviculite, and that kind of forms like the crack in the earth where the water shoots back up. There's a lot of information about how they used to pipe this into the bathhouses in the early days. And this I also found fascinating. So some of these early explorers, they figured out that there's small organisms in the water. They're not harmful to humans, but they're in there. And I thought that was really cool that so many years ago, those explorers were able to figure that out without the use of modern science. So I think the exhibits here really help you realize how special this place is. So those are these early explorers that were sent by Thomas Jefferson. And then this is Samuel Fordyce, and he really put a lot of money into the bathhouse industry. And you can just see some of the different ornate pieces and things like that. And then there's some very notable visitors who came here. So like Theodore Roosevelt and other people that bathed here. And some of the early bathhouses were just tents over the hot springs. So this is the main bathing room, and it is absolutely beautiful. It has this gorgeous stained glass ceiling and a beautiful fountain in here, and just everything in this entire bathhouse is just beautiful, from the marble, from the tile, and it's really fascinating to think of what this must have been like back in the day. So you can tour all the different rooms. They're open for you to go in, and you can see all the different medical equipment and the different things they would use when people came here for medical treatment. I know this was supposed to be like relaxing and also medical purposes, but some of it also looks a little bit torturous. So there are just so many exhibits with all different information, but what was interesting is the doctors at the time were prescribing people to come and do these thermal baths, but they were also giving them suggestions to spend time outside, do horseback riding, walk the promenade, spend time in nature. So I thought that was pretty neat that that was the advice they were giving out back then, and that's some of the advice we turn to now. So many beautiful stained glass windows, which I didn't expect in this place. The other interesting thing is you could see some of the things they recommended with doctor's orders. So if you had a stomach ache, drink the water. If you had syphilis, they would put mercury rubs on you. Some of the other ones here were a Xander machine for physical therapy if you had broken bones. Take a walk, that was one of the things they would prescribe to you. If you had arthritis, they wanted you to take a bath. If you had a sprained ankle, they would want you to do a dry and hot bake. So very interesting to see the medical treatments. So this room was really interesting. It was talking about how Hot Springs was a place that injured veterans would go to many years ago. And then it also had some information about when the park was formed. And this really surprised me. So this was set aside to be protected in 1832. It wasn't an official national park, but they protected it. So they realized how special it was even that long ago. So this section of the museum was all about the divided community and segregation, and about how African American people were denied entry to the baths at certain points in history, and yet a lot of them were employed working in the baths. So there was a section about how the community created their own African American bathhouses so people could be treated in the hot waters and experience the benefits as well. So this section of the museum was about Dr. Xander, who created kind of like the first physical therapy machines to help people after they had broken bones and to recover. So that was really interesting to see. They also had a tub room for people who were paralyzed. And then you could see some of the fashions at the time. This whole building is beautiful. There's stained glass. It's really in well-preserved shape, and you can wander and really learn so much. It's a lot more interesting than I thought it would be. So you can even tour the mechanical room and see where the spring comes up in the basement. This is another bathhouse that's currently under renovation and is closed. And this is the brewery. We went here for dinner. It's the only brewery in a national park, and the beer was really good. And they also had a beer bathtub sampler that we did not try, but you can try every beer they brew. So this is the Grand Promenade. It's a national recreation trail. It's made entirely out of brick. So as we were touring the bathhouse, you could see a lot of the old medical information, and a lot of it doesn't hold up today. But one thing that we kept seeing as we were touring the museum was that doctors would prescribe the thermal baths, but then they would prescribe things like hiking or spending time outside or walking the promenade here because they knew how good nature was for people, and that still holds true today. Our trip, we stayed at the Hotel Hot Springs. This was kind of like an affordable, good price point hotel. There are some fancier hotels if you're interested in some luxury options. There's also one called the Hale Hotel where you can stay in one of the old bathhouses, and they actually have the thermal waters piped in for soaking tubs that you can get in your room. So some really cool choices depending on your budget and your spending level. And then of course there is the campground in the national park. So if you have an RV or you want a tent camp, and if you come here, definitely take some time to stroll the promenade. This was a nice thing to do when we first came to the park last night, and we walked on our way to dinner at the brewing company in the park. And this is a nice way to end our trip. We're just strolling the promenade back towards our hotel. And it's really neat to think that people would do this after their bath treatments years ago. And this was here to get people outside to enjoy nature. So thank you so much for watching. If you take a visit to Hot Springs National Park, I would definitely recommend the Superior Brew Pub. That was really cool. And then we also liked Espresso Your Selfie. It was a cute little coffee house. You could go in, they had nice places to sit. So if you come here, those are two places we recommend if you're looking for things to eat or drink. And thanks for watching, guys. This is just a little photo slideshow of our trip. The one other thing I want to mention is there's 2 bathhouses that still operate today. So if that's something you're interested in, you can make an appointment for those spa-like services there. We didn't do that, but it's an option if that's something you're into.